Hey guys, Kamina the Koach here, coming back at you with a really quick one. And it's kind of just personal information, but I get asked so much, I decided might as well do a video about it. I'm really concerned about social issues in the United States, and I'm pretty vocal about it when you ask me my opinion. So I've had people ask me, so why aren't you here? Why aren't you making a difference in the United States? There are probably a lot of schools that could benefit from having you there, a lot of social groups that could benefit having you as a mentor. And I have to agree with that. But at the end of the day, you definitely have to take care of self before you can take care of anybody else. So I'm just going to give you a couple of reasons why I continue to stay abroad. And I definitely don't want to over glamorize it. If you've been following me, you know for the last 4 months, I've been really struggling. And just last week is the first time I've unpacked my bags in 4 months since August. So it definitely isn't always wonderful and definitely isn't always how people make it seem. I never want to paint that picture. I'm always very honest. My situation is just my situation, and I can only speak from my point of view and the stories that I've heard, and lots of stories that I've heard. Well, number one, what makes me a little bit different from a lot of people is I don't have any blood family. I only have one really, really tight friend and no blood family in the United States at all. So that's a big one. A lot of people return from overseas to the United States because they have elderly parents at home or they have children there that need them. So I don't really have that situation. So it was never really difficult for me to leave because I wasn't really leaving anyone. So that's number one. So there's really nothing for me to come back to. And especially like it's now November, so the holiday season is a little depressing for those of us that don't have any family. Not necessarily that I'm a holiday person, but it's just kind of depressing to see everybody with their families while you're not. And depending on where I'm at overseas, I kind of hardly even feel the holiday season, which for me is also a good thing. So, another reason, and another major reason, usually the first thing I say after I don't have family about why I stay overseas is, well, if I got sick in the United States, I'd probably die. Healthcare is so outrageously expensive. Even if you have really good health insurance, the copays can be outrageous. I had major surgery in Saudi Arabia in uh, May of 2018, and it cost me $150, and that's just because I wanted a private room. And that was everything. The pre-op, post-op, the medication, everything. And I'm really pleased with how that went. It was fibroid surgery, and probably insurance wouldn't have even paid for that in the United States because they wouldn't have considered it a life or death situation. So, medical care is a big one. Where I'm at right now, I actually don't have health insurance, but I just got sick in the country I was in before. I was in Jakarta, Indonesia. I got food poisoning and I went to the hospital. I got 2 bags of fluids, all the testing, lots of medication for about $100, $150. How much would an emergency room visit run you in the United States? So, where I'm at right now, I'm in Myanmar, formerly Burma. So, if I got really sick here, I'd probably have to go to Bangkok. But still, even then, it's going to cost me a lot less than in the United States. And I'm going to get care if I need to get care. So, healthcare is another big one. So, no family, healthcare. Most places that I've worked for provide housing. And where I'm at right now, you really can't see much of what's going on behind me, but where I'm at right now is one of the nicest. I've been overseas for almost a decade, and this is the nicest place I've ever lived. It's very modern. It's literally next door to the school. If it's not close to your school, usually transportation is provided. So utilities are almost always paid. I have maid service for free. There's free washers and dryers downstairs that are kept really clean. Um, Internet costs me maybe $5 a month. Phone service, maybe less than that. So free accommodation, usually free transportation to work, and if maid service isn't provided, well, usually it's really, really cheap. Phone service for almost for nothing, internet for almost for nothing. How many bills does that write off for me? Also, in the United States, I think the last statistic I heard was all Americans, or the majority of Americans, are only paychecks away from being homeless. Like I said, I've been living out of my bag for the last 4 months, and I've only gotten one paycheck in the last 5 months. And, well, I've been able to live. Actually, going back to the United States was the worst position I was in, because that's where I had to spend the most money. If I would have stayed in like Mexico or a country in Southeast Asia, I definitely would have been able to keep more of my savings in my pocket than even in Hong Kong, which is one of the more expensive Southeast Asian countries. I would have been better off there than going back to the United States, because you have to spend so much money to live in the United States. It's just crazy. So, yeah, there's that. Um, there's also like a lot less white noise. So I meditate a lot. I make sure when I wake up in the morning that I always practice gratitude. I'm always thankful before I put my foot on the ground. And it is so much easier to meditate, to stay focused, to stay on my routine, to block out that white noise outside of the United States. There's just, now, not to say that all countries don't have their problems, because they do. 100%. I'm just very emotionally attached to what's going on in the United States. So it makes it very difficult for me to stay grounded and leveled in the United States. So it's just easier for me to stay focused on my routine and to block out the outside nonsense living overseas. So let's look at what we got here. So eventually I'm going to go to Mexico. I've already done a video about why I'm going to Mexico, so we're not going to cover that. So eventually I will go back to Mexico to live. So what have we covered? I have no family, so it's just easier for me to be overseas, especially at holiday season. I don't really feel the holidays that much depending on where I am. It just feels better. So no family. Medical is just cheaper. Usually insurance is provided. If I got sick in the United States, I would die. All of the benefits, housing provided, transportation to and from work provided, utilities are usually provided, phone and internet being very, very, very cheap. Amazing, amazing things. And then also just the fact that my money goes further, the cost of living is a lot lower. If I go unemployed, I can live for a lot longer. Makes it a lot easier. And less white noise. Makes it easier for me to focus. There's just less, for me, less stress, we'll say. So these are just some of the reasons why I choose to stay overseas. It's certainly not all encompassing. There's probably some things that I missed. And there are probably lots of reasons other people stay overseas. But I get asked personally why I stay overseas. So these are just some of the reasons I stay overseas. And, I'm going to be able to save up the money that I need to save up to go back to Mexico, which is what I consider home at this point. So I hope that wasn't too rambling. I hope that was coherent and that you were able to follow me. So until next time, this is Kamina the Koach, wishing you love, light, peace, and joy. If you like this video, hit the like button. And if you really like me, share and subscribe and share it with your friends. All right, guys, peace.